Good evening, I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski on this rainy Wednesday night. And if it's Wednesday, you know it's all about politics 101. What a week it's been. I tell you, if you were walking in some of our shoes, it'd be a tough walk. But you know, the show must go on, and we must talk about issues that affect this nation. Kenya is bigger than any one of us. So the question I was asking my colleagues and I the other day was, is this nation in a moral dilemma? Everyone wants to crucify everyone else. What do we want? You know, 53 years ago yesterday, a famous American president was gunned down in the streets of Dallas, Texas. His name was John F. Kennedy. My guest tonight will relate to that. And he said something very profound in his time. He says, a very famous saying by John F. Kennedy was, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That's what I want to discuss with Njiru tonight. Njiru, most of you know, began an initiative a decade and a half ago, which he called Uungwana, the goodness of us. But as much as we have goodness, there is a lot of badness, which Ken calls ushenzi. So the ushenziness seems to have taken over, and we need to come back to the middle. Come back to Uungwana-ness. And Uungwana-ness, by the way, could be anything from not overlapping, from not throwing trash out of your car, from just being good, normal Kenyans, appreciating what you have. By the way, Ken has literally just come back from Congo, Brazzaville. If anyone has ever been to Congo, Brazzaville, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never been, sit back, because this is a lesson we all need to learn. Twitter handles are at Uungwana Kenya, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag we're using tonight, moral dilemma. Sit back. Njiru.
Good evening, Jeff.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you again.
They let you back from Congo.
They let me back.
Congo Brazza.
Congo
As
Brazza.
opposed to Congo Kinshasa, right?
Yes, well, they call it the Congo DRC.
DRC.
It used to be Kinshasa.
Yeah, it used to be Zaire.
Zaire.
Yes.
Then after they kicked out
Mobutu.
Mobutu, then it became the DRC.
Yes.
But Kinshasa still exists.
But,
yes.
and I've been to Kinshasa and Brazzaville many times before.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're sitting in your hotel room in Kinshasa,
yeah.
And the Congo River is right in front of you.
Huge
Fleuve du Congo, they call it.
Yes, yes.
Fleuve du Congo.
Yeah.
Across the river,
Yep.
you can see Brazza.
Yeah.
Brazzaville.
Brazzaville.
Go on. How was your trip?
My trip was fantastic. I'd been invited as a keynote speaker for the Congo Brazzaville prayer breakfast, and for me it was an honor to this country. And as Kenyans know, the prayer breakfast really is a prayer breakfast movement that is composed of leaders across the country.
Yes.
And so, right from the prime minister to ministers to military guys to church guys, I mean, they were there. Listening to some Uungwana.
Yes.
I also traveled with a few members of parliament, two, in particular Captain Wambugu from Adioya, and I was also with Jakoyo Midiwo, and we had a very interesting time also talking about the country and a friend called Luke Kinkin. So we had a delegation of about 4 Kenyans. And by the way, the Congolese really salute Kenyans.
Do they?
We were treated well. We were treated very well.
Okay, but for those who've never been to Congo,
Yes.
Brazza or Kinshasa,
Yeah.
never experienced it,
Yeah.
Ken, if you were to describe it in a few sentences, what would you say?
First of all, Congo Brazzaville, just like the other Congo, is lush green. In fact, as you're flying in,
Yeah, you're landing.
because you come in during the day.
Yes.
You can't help but imagine what beauty there is, down there. But again, you can see a lot of the forests have been cleared, and I think that's the hardwood that we see, down in this country. They are beautiful people. Of course, they speak French, and my French is this small, so I had a big problem getting along, but we did get along. You
Yes.
find somebody who speaks English. you know, and of course, Congo Brazzaville is resource rich. But one thing that really strikes you is that, you know, in so many ways, Kenya is way ahead. They import literally everything.
From here?
Yeah, well, not necessarily
from
here.
Europe.
A lot of it from France, all right? But what really struck me as very strange was the fact that despite the fact that, you know, between the one Congo and the other Congo is 5 kilometers, and this, you know, huge river that flows, for the aircraft, because we were, you know, flying Kenya Airways, for Kenya Airways to lift us off, you know, Brazzaville, and then to pick up, you know, people in Kinshasa, it takes off, does a 10-minute turn, and then lands again.
Comes back down.
And lands again. And what we then discovered was that they don't want to unite. This is the African disease. I call it Ushenzi.
Same people.
Yeah, same people. I mean,
Same people.
It's like us and the Tanzanians. We don't want to trade with you. We want to trade with you.
Yeah.
We don't like you. We like you.
Yes.
You know, but these are the same people.
Ushenzi.
You know, even in Tanzania, the Kenyans and Tanzanians, you can even say we are a bit different. You know, save for the Maasais at the border.
Right.
But these people speak the same language. Congolese,
Yes.
Kilingala.
Yes.
They speak French.
Yes.
So they are the same people. And by the way, one of the things I realized, I came to appreciate, I was so excited, was that in Kilingala, they even had the word Shenzi. In fact, they say Shenji. They say Shenji.
Shenji.
Yeah, Shenji. And then they told me, you know, when I used the word, I saw them sitting up. Then they told me, you know, Shenji in Kilingala is behaving like a monkey.
Really?
What people in Kenya call umangi, behaving like a monkey.
Yes.
Umangi. And for me, it you know, what I was telling them really struck home. Uungwana and Ushenzi. And they were, you know, they were pretty excited. But I think Africa needs really to wake up and to start understanding that God loves this continent. Because if you think about what is happening in Congo, the DRC right now, I mean, it's a lot of Ushenzi.
Yeah.
The fighting, the tussles. In fact, many of the foreign delegates from, you know, Europe and the rest of the places could not even come to Brazzaville because they think, you know, there is chaos in the DRC. So they will be in trouble. So it's unacceptable. Again, the whole question of what we produce in Africa is a serious one. I mean, these guys import water all the way from France. Water.
Yeah.
The eggs, you know, the what they eat in terms of meat. Simply because they have minerals and all they do is take it out and buy. And of course, there are areas of Brazza that you find that there's a lot of poverty.
Did you appreciate Kenya more? And I keep saying this, you know,
Yes.
we need to go out more.
By the way, when I landed back in Nairobi, you know, compared to Brazza, it's like you are in some Western capital.
Yes. Yes.
I don't even remember seeing a traffic light in Brazza. I don't remember. And you know, as a guest of the state, you're kept to the higher,
Yes.
the nice sites.
Yes.
You know, but I mean, Nairobi we're doing well.
We're doing well.
But the point is, we can do better.
Yeah.
If
So-
we take care of this Ushenzi nonsense that is eating into
And
us.
speaking of Ushenzi
Yeah.
nonsense,
Yeah.
Ken,
Yeah.
I mean, the Ushenziness that's going around
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, the election is what, maybe 10 months away?
It 10 months down. Yeah.
9 months away.
Yep.
The Ushenziness that's going on.
You know, one thing I keep on saying, Jeff, in terms of the political order is this, that, you know, the trade of the politician is basically political office, you know, politicking and political office. And so, by design, in fact, any student of political science will tell you, organizing yourself for the next election starts the day the other election finishes. But that does not mean that you do Ushenzi things. What it means is that you're working on your policies, you're selling your policies, you're giving alternative policies, and you're being true to your word. You're not pushing empty politics of tribe against tribe, those guys, because that's what happens in this country. So that one group starts bunching up against the other, and if you ask them what they believe, they have nothing in terms of the belief.
Zero.
And this is why I keep saying that we got a new constitution, but the software is wrong. And that's the question of the moral dilemma in this country. Apart from just the political order, socially we are in trouble. You know, Jeff, my heart bled. Despite the fact that I think Matiang is doing some good work in the education ministry,
Yes.
my heart bled to see schools frisking standard 8 kids.
Yeah.
My daughter was frisked. Like, you know how you frisk
Yes.
prisoners when they are going into a cell?
Yes.
That's how they were frisked. And we need to step back and ask, when did we get here? When standard 8 kids have to be frisked because the whole country believes they are thieves and they are going to steal the exam. And by the way, when we step back, we start realizing it's not even about those kids. Because for me, kids are like a cup. What you put in is what you get out. It's about the teachers. It's about the parents. It's about we, the people of this republic, who have forgotten what it means to be human. That now our kids in primary schools have to be frisked. In fact, I was telling myself, if we continue like this, then you can as well start frisking your son. Because then he's going to be stealing your money from your house. Every time he's leaving the house, you frisk him to see whether he's stolen it. Yeah. And so for me, when we talk about the moral dilemma, it is these small things where you find men, grown-up men, standing up in front of cameras like this and lying. And then there are others who basically back them up because ni mutu wetu.
Sad.
Or they back them up because there are rotten carrots that are being extended to them.
But they must perpetuate this lie that was started by...
That was started by somebody else. But you see, the thing with that, Jeff, and I fundamentally know this is the position. When you continue doing these things, spiritually, you degenerate, you rot. And I have said many times on this program that Rome, as in its splendor and majesty, was not destroyed by an invading army. It was destroyed by Ushenzi. People basically not working, stealing, prostitution, drunkenness, everything that goes with it. And it was basically justified left, right, and center. Yeah. But what keeps me going, Jeff, is because I know each one of us is fearfully and wonderfully made. And I think just like we spent 30 or 40 years fighting for the hardware of this country, we must now engage another gear that fights for the software of this country. And if we do that, this country will shoot up.
We keep saying, Ken, if we do that,
yes.
What's stopping us? What is it that makes us go one step forward?
Yes.
And then 3 backwards?
I think it's just the realization of what the problem is. You know, if you go to a hospital and you're sent to the diagnostics, and instead of diagnosing malaria, you diagnose whatever it is, hepatitis,
yes,
you will die as they're treating malaria. You see, our diagnostics has still not appreciated that the problem we have in this country is software. We have a critical mass of doctors. We have a critical mass of lawyers. We have a critical mass of accountants, but we cannot even trust ourselves anymore. We cannot trust the average lawyer. I'm not saying all of them are bad. By the way, in my mind, there are 2 types of citizens. There's the Uungwana citizen and the Mushenzi citizen.
Correct.
In the police force, you'll find the Uungwana and the Mushenzi.
Yes.
In the medical practitioners, you'll find Uungwana and the Mushenzi. In law, you'll find the Uungwana and the Mushenzi. But what is increasingly happening in this country is the Mushenzi is getting louder and louder, while the good people sit back and say, I don't go there. And you know, it has been said, when good people keep quiet,
evil
festers.
Correct. Evil prospers.
Evil prospers.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you said something very fundamental there, Ken, because it just threw my mind to America for a moment.
Yeah.
And the election of Donald Trump.
Yes.
And it's, again, you know, no matter how you see it,
yes,
good people did nothing.
Yes.
They didn't show up to vote.
But let me apart from not showing up to vote, I think one thing that needs to be appreciated in the Donald Trump win, Donald Trump, first of all, being a businessman, was sharp enough to see the gap, that the hole, should I say, and it's actually even a moral hole that was gaping in the hearts and the minds of the American people, right? Donald Trump came and said, those guys there have been promising you things and they've not been doing it.
Yes.
And everybody thought he was a joke. And he kept repeating it.
Over and over
again. And of course he went for the whites and he kept repeating it. But because there was that crack, because there was that hollow that had been created by a successive generation of governments which promise things and they don't do, then people turned to Donald Trump.
But okay, what kind of people turn? Because, you know, there are some people who would say the real America showed up.
Yes.
Racist.
Yes.
Anti-immigrant.
Yes.
Anti-everything.
You know,
They went back into their shell.
you know, let me tell you something, Jeff. The Donald Trump story is a perfect illustration of what bad leadership does. Ushenzi leadership funds that. And that is what is happening in this country.
Yeah.
We fund tribalism. We fund hatred. Me as a Kikuyu, I'm meant to be a thief.
Yes.
I steal.
Yes.
In fact, you should be scared of me.
Correct,
But
'cause-
you also one.
So we're both thieves.
So maybe we'll steal from each other.
Right.
And then another community, all they do is buy radios. You know, stereotypes which are basically hammered
over
and over and over again. And let me tell you what Hitler said. Hitler said, when you tell a big lie, when you tell a lie, tell a big lie and keep repeating it. People like Donald Trump understand that.
It becomes the truth.
It becomes a truth. And so they play on those raw emotions of the people. But a good leader basically fundamentally touches, you know, I keep on saying it's like your phone, my friend. It has a chord. A good leader touches the chords of his people. First the hearts and then the minds. And the people are able to lift themselves up and do majestic things. Because that's what good leadership is all about. And so when you look at what has been happening in America, and you cross again the Atlantic and look at what happened in Britain.
Yes.
And then you go to countries like Norway, see what is happening to Germany.
Yeah.
There is something fundamentally wrong in the psyche of the world.
But tell me something again.
Yes.
Before we go to break.
Yeah.
Is this a cycle that keeps coming back over and over again? Is this a cycle?
I think it's a cycle. I think it's a cycle. You know, in history, those of you are, you know, those of us who are students of history,
Yeah.
we talk about the winds of change.
Yes.
Once so often there's a wind that
Yes.
comes. Sometimes it's a good wind, sometimes it's a bad wind. What is happening now is a bad wind. But let me tell you what also we need also to feel into. If you look at what is happening to Syria and the type of immigrants, waves that are being sent into Europe, we should stop and ask, why are people dying the way they are dying? I mean, just look at CNN or look at Al Jazeera. My heart bleeds when children are being removed from the rubble
Imagine. Little children.
and whole cities being decimated
Yes.
to ruins. Why? I'll tell you. Ushenzi. When human beings descend in consciousness, in fact, when they become what you call the Mushenzi Kamili, then that is what they do. And by the way, they have generals who are dressed like you and me,
Yeah.
justifying that nonsense.
Yes.
And so then you have waves of people going into Europe. And Europe then starts perceiving guys as taking our jobs. You know?
Yes.
And Donald Trump comes in. The Brexiters come in. The right-wing hardline parties come in.
Yep.
And you see a new total change of people grabbing power and they don't even know what to do with it. Because they are riding on raw emotions. But they are riding on raw emotions that have been created by those who thought they were good, but they were still doing Ushenzi. One more thing. As we're talking about immigrants, we must not forget about the African immigrants. The ones who are dying,
Heading to Europe.
heading to Europe,
Drowning
in the Mediterranean.
Yes.
What are they running from? Bad governance. Ushenzi. And people are saying we would rather die
In the ocean.
in the ocean trying to get, they think that is the promised land.
Please.
And I'm saying, when you approach life from the Uungwana perspective, you look inside. Africa is so damn rich. But when you're spiritually poor, and I use the word spiritually poor, that richness benefits other people. I was reading the News African magazine the other day.
Yes.
And it's saying that Britain makes $1 trillion from our wealth every year.
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion
US.
from our wealth. US every year as we are sitting here killing each other. Kikuyus, Luos, Kambas, Kisis, nonsense.
They are profiting.
They're profiting. Because they understand
They get
what
it.
it means. They get it.
They get it.
We don't. That is why an aircraft has to take off, fly for 10 minutes, use a lot of power,
And
land,
fuel.
and fuel.
And land.
And land.
Five kilometers
and
away.
pay airport tax instead of having one huge airport which you cross over with one steel bridge, suspended bridge.
Look at that.
No, but the African cannot think of a suspended bridge. They're too busy stealing.
Too busy.
Yeah.
Ken, I want to take a break. Come back. I tell you, man, this is deep. This is deep, and it's important.
And we got to drill. And by the way, let me say, if we do not talk to this values question in this country, we are finished. Without values, all is lost.
Completely.
Even this Kampiski becomes fair game for
It
everybody.
becomes Ushenzi.
Yeah, I can take this room, you can take the other one.
And the bench.
Yeah. Look at what is happening in the Sudan.
Oh, goodness. That's another story. Let's take a break. Come back. By the way, this program is powered by LG OLED 4K. You see that TV there?
Yeah.
Norbert, we're going to read some tweets very shortly. LG
Yeah.
OLED 4K. Okay, let's read one tweet. What's it? Sivenzia, is that it? Sivenzia, yeah?
Sivenzia,
You say Uungwana. Hitler said that when you tell a lie, tell a big lie, a very big lie, referring to Trump. True that. Maura Florence, you say, how can this country be well when most Kenyans suffer morally? It's time we stop this Ushenzi.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying earlier on, Ken.
Yep.
It can be better.
No, it can be better.
But the trajectory is there. We're on the trajectory.
We, in a sense, we have laid down the foundation, and we'll talk about it.
We're on the runway.
Yeah. We're on the runway.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah.
Keep tweeting at Uungwana Kenya, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag moral dilemma. That's what we're talking about, folks. Forget about all the minutia, all the hula baloo out there. And there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about real issues. Let's talk about real issues. And that's why the bench is here, to talk about issues. Are you with us?
Or are you not with us?
Or are you against us?
Are you against us? Are you a Muungwana?
Or are you Mshenzi?
Or are you a pakatikati? You know, there are some people who hang here.
All right.
And they go this way or
That way.
Yeah.
Jeff Koinange, live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski, takes a break. We'll be back. Plenty more ahead. Back in a moment.